Hey everyone, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the biggest changes in the real estate industry, commissions, real estate agent commissions, and who's going to be paying those.
I've had a couple buyers. They've said, "Hey, when is that thing getting in place?" And
Let's
I'm
buy
like-
now,
and
right?
I'm like, "What thing?" And I'm like, "Oh, are we gonna have to pay your commission?"
But buy it too, and then one last question. We've heard something, and somebody told us about the commission. Do we have to pay you?
But we already got used to one real estate market,
Yeah.
and now everything is going to change.
They didn't care.
Right.
But these buyers, they only care when they become sellers.
We know a lot of people are afraid, especially buyers, afraid that, oh, now we have to pay commissions. I've got Mariana and Olena today with me. What about this commission thing?
That's super interesting. Yeah, for now it sounds like scary, like it's gonna
Yeah.
be completely different. So we already got used to one real estate market,
Yeah.
and now everything is gonna change. So most of the buyers, what I can see, they don't know anything about the settlement,
Yeah.
anything about the
But
changes.
they've all heard about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Everybody have
Somehow.
heard about something, that there's some commission. Because yesterday I got a call from a buyer too, and then one last question. We've heard something, and somebody told us about the commission. Do we have to pay you? You know?
I've had a couple buyers that I'm currently working with.
Yeah.
They've said, "Hey, when is that thing getting in place?" And
Let's
I'm
buy
like-
now,
And
right?
I'm like, "What thing?" And I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, are we gonna have to pay your commission?" But what's funny is we as new agents, I mean, it's my 4th year in the business. We've gone through so many things in real estate, from COVID, interest rates down, up, multiple offers. Like this
It's a roller
journey
coaster.
has been so exciting and so interesting.
Stressful, yeah.
Yeah, but the
So,
biggest
so what's another change, And I'm like, okay, we're gonna get used to it.
Whatever, yeah. I'm gonna always have to live in the
Like
change.
we've gone through everything.
Yeah.
I think
I'm always-
within this time.
I'm always saying the most important to adapt. Like
Yeah.
if you know how to adapt, because it's always some changes, always something new. So if you know how to be flexible, this is the biggest thing.
There's two things that now is going to be playing around. That if the buyer is listening right now, they plan to buy. It's not necessarily that you have to pay the agent's commission. That
Yeah.
yet to
Yeah, it
be
doesn't mean-
discussed. It's a negotiations. It's just the new topic that need to be addressed, which it used to be that the buyers don't know what their agent gets paid. They don't care about it.
Yeah.
That never gets to be discussed. And a lot of them, even after the closing, they don't even know what the agent got paid. Would you agree?
Yeah.
They don't even know how to read
because
this
they
thing.
didn't care.
Right,
But these buyers, they only care when they become sellers.
right.
Yeah. And this-
Because
Then
then
they care.
we have to pay.
But
What's the
once
commission?
a buyer wants a seller. Don't you agree?
Same seller is the buyer.
Yes, it's
person.
It's coming.
I-
it's like a loop,
I was
Someone is a-
wondering, like, this settlement was invented like to protect the buyers,
Sellers.
but the sellers. But now, like, who is protected? Like, every seller is going to be the buyer, right? So
I think the
Who is-
system was perfect the way it was
yeah,
because it was easy way for the buyer to get into home ownership.
yeah.
You don't have to worry about the commission. You only have to worry about the down payment, which a lot of banks also have programs, and they're helping because not a lot of people have the funds for down payment.
Yeah.
Plus the closing cost, and now on top of it, I have to worry about the commission. So then that reduces the amount of people. If, like, for example, if it becomes that all buyers need to pay, reduces the amount of buyers they can afford, which is reduces the amount of offers, which reduces the amount of sales price. So now it hurts the seller now.
And it hurts the
is.
buyer a lot too. Like what they said in 2023, what I read, the average American buyer age is now up to 36 years old when people buy their first property. So what now it's going to be up to like, I don't know, 40 when
Yeah,
people
like
can...
it affects like that amount of transactions is going to drop. Amount of transactions means less new owners in the properties, which means less repairs, less closing costs for title companies and lenders, less cleaning, less furniture sales. The whole
Yeah,
real
it's
estate
gonna affect
sector
everyone,
starts shrinking.
right?
They probably, it's going to be messy in the beginning. We're going to see different sorts of, we already probably see a little bit commission reducement.
I just
Yeah.
Looked at 6 properties to schedule showings, and I think 4 of them had 2% already.
Yeah.
I'm seeing 2%.
It's dropping. Yeah, we're seeing that
And
it
I
reduced.
saw zero also, like, not very
Zero
often,
minus
but
300.
Yes.
So you have to pay in
That's
order to
funny.
bring the buyer, and things like that. But I think that a lot of sellers will still be paying,
Yeah.
because they want to get more offers. You're going to see
Yeah.
that, oh, my buyer can't write an offer because they can't pay me commission. Just by providing ability for buyer to get rid of that extra payment, you may create three buyers.
Right.
Three buyers might bid each other up to, you know, that commission being covered and even some.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just making money by doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the only big thing that I think is going to change is buyers are going to be a little bit more picky
Yeah.
on their realtors.
Yeah, they're going to say, you
Yeah.
charge 3%, you charge
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
I go to my friend, he charges $100.
They're going to be calling and saying, "Oh, what's so special about you?" And
comparing,
they're going to be
right?
going to multiple realtors for consultations. That's what I feel like is going to happen.
Before signing with somebody.
But the
Before
good
signing
thing,
with
you have to
someone.
sign your representation agreement in before you're showing the properties, before you start working with the client. So this is a good thing. I can say.
What buyers agreements terms are we thinking are going to be in place? Like,
It's negotiable.
it's negotiable?
Everything is negotiable.
But I
so
think that these
basically-
agreements are going to be like, you heard about the Zillow, they're going to do 7-day short-term agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Then you click a box, agree, submit.
Well, that's what I said. There's
That's
just
the
like
agreement.
just like now there are flat fee listings.
Yeah.
There's going to be flat fee buyers agents. You know,
Could
I'll
be.
show you one listing and
Sure.
I'll write you one offer for $500,
Sure.
you know, or something like that is going to be in place.
huge competition, but now you will have to show your value as a real estate agent. What exactly you're doing? Why is it better to work with a realtor, not on your own?
Yeah.
Right? Because you always had a chance to buy without a realtor. So
Sure.
just with the attorney.
You could always buy
Yeah.
without realtor. So a
It
lot
was-
of buyers also find the properties on their own, but still
Yeah.
they still hire a realtor. Also, like if you can compare to an attorney, you know, different attorneys charge different fees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Different contractors charge different fees too. Different
Lenders.
photographer and videographers charge different
Right,
fees too.
yeah.
So it depends on what you get for the money you pay. Sometimes you can
Yeah.
save, but then the mistake costs a lot of money.
And a lot of
Sometimes
headaches.
it's not even a money question. Sometimes it's like it's a wrong property because there's something that we didn't see. Oh, it's a flood zone,
Mm-hmm.
and we are a week before the closing after the CTC. We can clear the close. We
What
got
is
no other
rental
backouts.
cap
Either
or-
I lose my 10,000 earnest money, or I have to buy the flood insurance for 2,000 a year.
Is it a market price or it's overpriced property? So if you know all that stuff, yeah, you can buy on your own.
Or let's say the seller says, I need post-closing possession.
Mm-hmm.
And the buyer says, okay, let me know when you're moving out. And the seller never moves out
Yeah.
because the buyer didn't know how to
Surprise,
structure it. Yeah,
You get a new tenant.
yeah. Yeah, or you're
So many
buying
things.
with a tenant, and then the seller says, that tenant is moving out a week after the closing, and you're buying it. I would say don't buy it. Wait until he moves
Yeah.
out and then close it. Unless it's a rental property, because when you buy rental properties,
Then you
which is
already
like a
have
buildings,
tenant.
they have to be there because the bank only finances.
Or you want to keep those renter, right?
But sometimes you
you
have to
buy-
because
yeah.
there's a lease. But when you buy an investment property, it is intended to have an tenant in there.
Yes.
But when you're buying a property for yourself, you want to move in, and there's a tenant there, and you're closing
Can be
when
a
the tenant is
huge-
there. It's a
yeah.
mistake, and a lot of buyers not gonna know it. The seller is gonna tell him, "Trust me, he's moving out." Because seller, the job of the seller is to sell. He's not to
Yeah.
protect the buyer, and so the buyer might, because I've got that call before
Mm-hmm.
when somebody bought on their own and were asking me, oh, I have a tenant who's not moving out. I was planning to move in. Like, yeah, because you don't close when somebody else is there. You close when it's vacant. So everything is easy and sounds easy when everything is smooth. But when there's an issue, a trouble, you wish you had somebody.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think
Knows what to
every
do.
single deal that I had lately
Yeah.
had something going on, some things that we had to
Issues,
solve.
yeah, me
I mean,
too.
I don't call those issues. I mean, I just
It's a bumpy deal.
yeah, it's not a problem. It's not an issue. Everything, could be resolved. It's just a challenge. I would say it's a challenge, that you have to overcome a certain challenge. You have to put right pieces together
Yeah.
to go through it. And you have to have knowledge. You have to have right connections. You have to ask right questions and look into right sources to get that challenge solved, to have everyone happy at the end.
We are problem
Yeah.
solvers.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We do we
Truly.
do solve a lot of problems when
Definitely.
it comes to a deal. Just to hold the deal together, we're like, okay, well, but the loan is not coming together. We can't do it. Okay, you start looking for another loan, officer or mortgage company. There's something else you're trying to figure out what contractor could fix and how much is it. Try to come up with some credit backs with seller and buyer just to make it happen. Sometimes the buyer says, okay, give up. Like, if we can solve it, would you still want it? Yeah, I'll buy it, but this is unsolvable. Let me solve it. You know?
Yeah.
That's what we do.
From the
Exactly.
side, it looks so
But
easy, but
You know how many deals would have never happened if I was in there?
Yeah.
If I was not in the deal, that deal will never close.
Yeah.
I see like half of the deals. My wife delivering my son. The buyer calls. She says, my husband didn't see it. He's not feeling comfortable. We're not going to move forward. So I say, okay, we have a chance on inspection. We're going to lock it. We do inspection. And then we cancel if the husband doesn't like. Make sure that, can we do that? We don't know. We do it. Boom. She closes. Happy. Everything is great.
yeah,
Mhm.
always ask
year
why,
later,
what's the
everything's
reason?
great.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
can we save the
But
deal? Like,
It's like, and then now happy. True stories, you know, sometimes it's just one question and boom, everything's solved. And
Right.
then the client's happy. But
And sometimes the deals are not right, and you have to step in too.
sometimes sure. Yeah.
And tell them to, hey, you know, I don't feel like this is the right property. You have to back out. You know, this is this and this. Like sometimes I would ask the same question to my, are you sure? Are you sure that here's this and this and
Yeah.
this? What I would be, you know, worried about. Are you 100% sure? So I always ask that question because you can't change some things in, you know, in real
you know,
estate.
we're suggesting the client, like, but they make a decision, right?
Yeah. But a lot of people
Yeah.
are now, I need to buy a house by July. I got to buy a house by
That's
July
right.
because sellers are paying
Do
my
not
agent's commission.
Overpay.
I don't want to go without an agent, but I don't want to pay the agent too.
But my opinion, I think we will not see that much. So still, it's gonna. The
I'm just
sellers
wondering how we're going to find out if we're on the buyer side, how much is the seller paying? Because MLS is not going to be showing it.
should
anymore.
be the way, like, because
How are
it's
we going to know? We're going to call every single time to the listing agent?
I
and
even
It's gonna
ask-
be
heard that they,
horrible, like-
someone suggested that the listing agent, I read some, you know, discussion online that the listing agent should record a voicemail with their properties. Like, hi, you've reached a voicemail of such and such listing agent. This property is going to be this much commission, this property. And there were like a lot of comments like, what are the
should be
ways
the
that,
way, because
you know,
otherwise the listing agent gonna have like hundreds of calls.
Text
so
1,
it's-
2, 3 to the number,
some listing
you
agent
know,
wanna know the
5544 to find out the commission and hit stop to unsubscribe. You know, remember when they decided on all the websites to publicly show the buyer's agent compensation? So now you go to Zillow, Redfin, any website, you see how much it's about. So that happens. Now it's 180 from that. Now remove from everywhere. Show it everywhere.
No,
remove from
yeah.
everywhere.
So what's
how
next,
it's
right?
done in like Canada? Do you know? Or like, what do they do there?
Even in
I
the United
think
States,
it's the same thing. It's just lower commissions. I think it's the
Yeah.
same thing.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I've read that in New York, people were more accustomed to pay the difference because they've seen sellers putting much lower,
They don't have MLS, I think, in Manhattan, like New York.
something
Let's
like
see.
that. That
Yeah.
the buyers were already more privy to paying either a portion or full commission for buying.
yeah, but my opinion, if the seller is not ready to pay the commission to the buyer's agent, in this case, it should be some price adjustment, because all the comps, if we are
They're
doing CMA, they
with built-in
including two, yeah, they built
Commissions.
in
Yeah.
two compensations.
But think about this as well. Barrier to enter the real estate industry is low. So a lot of
Yes.
real estate agents people are interested to become real estate agents.
Yeah.
Now they're motivating renters to become buyers.
Mhm.
They're motivating them to become buyers, not just for a charity purpose, because when they help the renter to become a buyer, they make money, they get paid. So if the seller is not paying, it kind of demotivates a lot of agents to motivate renters to become buyers. So then less buyers means less offers, less price.
More renters.
The whole thing was so perfect.
Yeah, the system was
And
working.
it was all negotiable from the day
Yes.
one. You know?
Yeah.
All negotiable. And like if you go to listing appointments, there's always sellers always how much you charge, this one charged this much. It was always like to get the deal, a lot of times you'll have to slice your commission. And it was never like we have to pay to the other side. We don't have to pay anything. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know, so
if there
it was
is,
all
if it's gonna be the multiple offer situation, how would that work? Like, if he's not paying commissions, someone like
so it's gonna be
That's-
tougher. You know, it's
more work for us.
for the buyer's
So-
agent. Yeah, it's going to be if the property is priced right, and it's a hot property,
Mm.
it's probably gonna still sell. You know,
And if you want it, you're gonna now.
How hard the buyer
but the buyer's
wants
gonna
the property, right?
yeah. It also like it depends on the agent's skills too. Depends on what you're worth.
Educating the client.
Yeah.
So this is
And the
super
client will have to
important,
bring
like-
the difference if it's not matching what you want to make, what your
Right,
fee is.
That's interesting.
Because you can offer way more and say, hey, I'm offering you like 40,000, for example, over, but part of that is I want it in commissions back to the agent, but then we get into appraisal issues. That's what we've talked.
Yeah, but I think I saw something that it's not going to be. No, it's about credit because right now lenders only allow 2% of credit to be to the buyer, and the commission that goes to the credit is not going to be affecting that. That's not. It's going to be okay with the lender
So it's
side,
going to be restructured.
but the appraisal thing is a different question. Yeah, and also that has to be by the buyer's permission. You know, the buyer has to say,
Yeah.
I understand we're going 40 over because my agent need to get paid 5, and I'm paying 35 over. I mean, these conversations are crazy. Like people paying over for houses. We used to negotiate houses.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
This market is just bananas.
But honestly, I'm excited. Like, from my side, I will try to do everything possible to save the money for my client, to get the best deal, to negotiate the commission, to avoid those for the client to pay it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll try to.
Yeah, but recently I saw the condo. It was 1.5%. It was and it was like 8 or 9 offers there. So I'm pretty sure that somebody took it and they agreed to that.
Yeah.
You know, the agent
Even
agreed
now.
to it.
Even before changes, so there is a situations where
Yeah, but it's going to affect a lot of agents.
it shouldn't be for the fees. Like it's all about relationships. Like you cannot go to real
let
estate
me
just
ask you this.
because of the money.
If it was 10,000, would you still be a realtor?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that it's not that expensive because if it would be that expensive, more people would debate more, if that's really, really what they want. But what I see that a lot of people, like even through last year, probably I've had 10 people who have reached out to me personally who wanted to be a realtor. They started the school, and I guess only one of them even finished the school. Most of them don't
It's
even.
not that easy.
Most of them
to
don't
pass
finish the school. Some of them finish the school and they don't pass the exam. And okay, let's say like a small percentage even pass that exam, and then they go into the industry, they try it out, and it's not something, that they were expecting. Because I feel like for a lot of people, it's not what they were expecting.
But if it was more expensive, yeah, less people would come in. But the ones that are going through, those are dedicated people.
Yeah.
Those are like, I don't know how much it is to become what is it for like nail estheticians? It's probably also
10K,
very. It is
some of the
10K?
licensing.
10K?
I mean,
For nail esthetician.
like esthetician to do like
the face.
and
facial.
stuff.
10,000.
There's licenses,
But for the
yeah.
nails, it's cheaper. I think
Yeah,
it's
probably
like
cheaper.
3K. kind
But
of.
like if you talk about car mechanic, attorney, lawyer, lawyers,
Lender.
lender, it's probably also cheaper. I think it's all about the fees. It has to be a low barrier of entry, so more people come in. The fees are there. It's a money making machine. The more
Sure.
realtors there, the better it is for everybody. It's just more competition and and it's not good for consumers. They don't know who to pick with. Like who's good, because everybody can call themselves a real estate agent, but they do one deal a year. They don't even know what the market's doing.
Yeah, they just don't have experience in like multiple different situations. So the more deals you do, the more things you've seen, so the better you can handle anything that comes your
More
way.
The
experience you
agent who's
have.
1 year or 2 years in the business, but who does 10, 20 deals per year, is much better than those who do 20 years in the business and
Exactly.
do one deal a
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Because the market changes. Your one deal a year doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's not about amount of years. It's about amount
Yes.
of transactions.
But
that you've
do we
handled.
hear that I'm 20 years in the business, I'm 30 years in the business? Doesn't mean anything. How many houses you sell? How many situations do you solve every day, every year? That's what's going to, if you know the market and you know what the market is doing currently. But anyways, if we were going back to the commission thing, should the buyers be worried?
And
I mean,
everyone
in
does.
some
Everyone's
cases,
worried
yes.
a little.
in some cases, they will have to come up with a difference, but
Yeah.
they could be built in the price.
but they would be aware before we show the house. So
That's
it's
right.
super important thing that it's not like we saw the house, the client wants the house, and you're saying now you have to pay me 10K or whatever.
What
Yeah,
5K.
if
all of a sudden.
What if
Yeah,
seller
all of a sudden.
changes his mind?
Yeah, it could be done. We can negotiate that.
Yeah.
We can try to negotiate. Well, if the seller has only me as a buyer, then that's easier. We can negotiate that.
Well, what if the seller says, I'll pay 2% when listing and you're a listing agent, and then they listed and then he has 25 offers.
Mhm.
Now he doesn't want to pay 2%. Could that happen?
Of course.
Because he
Yeah.
sees so many, like they wanted to test, like if it's a difficult sell, then sellers are going to be more motivated to sell. But if it is like a nice, wonderful property, I don't know, rentable or remodeled, and they have so many offers and he agreed to 2%, can he change his mind and remove 2% and say, oh, I
Remove
have,
from where?
from his initial intentions? Because it's not going to be written on MLS
Yeah.
now. So it's, he.
But they should have agreement with the listing agent, right? So it's gonna be mentioned somewhere. So it
Is
can
I have
change.
no idea.
Yes.
Where is it gonna be
that's
mentioned?
my worry, because
Mhm.
I've heard situations even nowadays when one commission was initially and then they've changed it before it went under contract
On MLS?
on MLS.
Oh, that's fraud.
Yeah, and
That's
the,
illegal.
I mean, they were caught, but even now, this thing happened. Like it was listed at 2.5, and then it went to like 1.5 or 2%, like magically. But now, since it's not listed anywhere, you can't see it. It's only like verbal. Maybe you're gonna get a verbal like, oh, okay, it's 2% or 2.5, and then you submit your offer, and then your offer is, let's say, accepted, and they're like, oh, by the way, the seller doesn't want to do 2% anymore.
No, but you're gonna do with an offer. You're gonna do broker to broker compensation agreement.
2%.
Yeah, because it's now
Yes.
not on MLS. That used to be our, if you're on the buy side, that used to be the. And also, I had a situation where seller wanted not to pay the buyer after the deal was almost to the closing, because he heard that the buyer and their agent are not, in a good relationship, but that doesn't mean anything. The job was done, and we advertised it. So
Or maybe
had to be
this
paid.
scenario. Let's say there's 20 offers.
Yeah.
You wrote an offer. It was the listing agent told you that the commission is covered. You wrote an offer, but then the seller saw that there's 20 offers, and he tells his agent, "Hey, call everyone and tell them that I'll pick the offer that I don't need a cover." And listing agent's gonna be calling everyone, and like you have to tell now your
or
buyers.
just mass email everybody,
Yeah,
or like notification through
or
showing
tell
time.
her that you already like went to the show and you already showed the property, you wrote an offer, and now you have to tell, you know what, they changed their mind. That could happen probably. I mean, one of the agents told me that she sees that happen.
Gonna be messy, but yeah, the new rules has to be.
Yeah, there has to be
real.
some, because then if it starts happening, there's going to be a lot of friction, and boards will have to step in. Somehow it has to get
Some
like,
regulations.
It
Should
can't,
be
it can't be a wild
structured
west.
anyway.
Interest
fees,
rate goes
HOA
up.
fees went
Yeah.
up recently. a
HOA
lot.
fees went up, and on top of all that, you got to pay Realtor.
Either something, or maybe the whole thing.
It's just now, if you heard, Biden offers grants for
Yeah.
buyers. It's still in the works, and then grants for sellers, because the inventory is not.
Yeah,
it's
the
not there.
inventory is
So
historically
they're offering
low.
10,000 to sellers if they're below average range in the neighborhood, to list their starter homes, for the first time home buyers. So now government starts stepping in. It's interesting. Things are
Yeah, market gonna be
interesting right now.
shifting. So let's see.
no inventory.
Well, hopefully interest rates go down in 25, and that's gonna
Now
help
they
a
went
little.
up.
But now think
Again,
about new
so-
construction, right? You're coming in, there's 300 houses. Builder needs to sell all of them. You're coming in, you pick in the model, and you buying one of those houses. They got other houses to sell. So it's easier with them to get your agent paid if you're the buyer, because they don't have a line of buyers for the same house. A lot of times they have more houses for the same buyer. So they want to, like we have the Lexington.
Yeah, new construction
We
is
need
a
to
bit
sell houses. So we
different.
have a buyer, we're working with the buyer. Let's, buy it. And then, so because you have more houses than the buyer.
Even
Right.
now, it's more popular because short inventory again, and a lot of times the new construction, the builder is offering some type of concessions, buy down the interest rates.
So more
or-
new construction maybe.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
Because
hope
they're
so.
going to be
something,
selling
something.
pretty fast, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is less.
Yeah.
There is. I mean, no competition in new construction. You go. You. I mean, you have to act fast because sometimes you like the
Gets-
specific
Yeah.
model. Some other people can grab it, but there is another one.
There's
you
usually
know.
more options. Yeah, they
Yeah, more
usually have
options.
like we have this, we have that, we have this. Pick which the price range, and then we got
Yeah.
two
No
lots
need
for
to
you.
rush, no multiple offers
Right, you
situation,
buy for
so
what
you
they're
have to
asking for.
go over.
Mhm.
So
It's
that's an
just
option too.
in our area where we are, new construction is whatever's priced well is super far. That's how I feel it. You know.
Yeah, where you live, there's no new construction. Yeah, you gotta
Mm-mm.
move.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to sacrifice something in order
Mhm.
to be at the price that you want and have
Yeah.
the size that you want, and you have to sacrifice the location.
You either move to the city or
Yeah.
away from the city,
Hmm
far.
So
Yeah.
people are going to have to make sacrifices.
Yeah, I mean, or you just buy something that resale, something that's already been built a long time ago. But they still sell less for. It depends on what you're looking for. But right now, the 2,000 square foot house, it's probably 500 ish. Let's say price point. It's still more expensive to build the new, plus the land.
Yeah.
Unless you're buying like a subdivision far away, that's land is cheap, and they're building 300 houses, that it's cheaper.
It's if you're building on your own, it's way more expensive.
Yeah.
But you control the materials, the quality.
Yeah.
One thing I'm gonna say is that with this commission thing, with these changes, we're still like I'm reading these article, new updates and things. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows how is it gonna be advertised, and I'm just curious to see. It's like 2 months
Just
away from now.
gossiping.
Yeah, and this is probably approving because it's preliminary approved and it's gonna change. And how we're gonna find out about it. But one thing for buyers, we're gonna say that we're gonna be going asking the seller to cover that for the buyer, and if not, then we'll be trying to build it into the price. And you're gonna know before you see the house, because if you see it already, you're gonna get emotionally attached. And some buyers might say, "Yeah, this one doesn't pay. Let's not go. Let's choose something else, because I don't have the money to pay. I'm not gonna go."
Yeah,
Which
it's
is also
We're gonna
It's
see
just
that.
going to be a little bit more planning on our hand, because sometimes I'm driving to a showing and I'm getting a text message. I want to see this like in an hour. Or sometimes we already have multiple showings and they're like, oh, can we also see this one? Then we're going to have to do a little bit more planning in
yeah.
order to get those showings to.
To be careful.
We're not going to be as quick to show properties.
What do you say? What are you gonna say to the seller, who says, "Should I pay?"
Depends on the price that you want to get.
Yeah,
you know?
depends on the price.
I wanted to get top dollar.
You should give the.
Like,
Is your property a top property? Like, how do you feel?
Of
like,
course, my property is top property.
Like wish,
My property is the best.
again, we should educate your client.
Yeah, I would say
Doesn't-
that I would motivate them to do offer, because it's gonna help a lot of buyers. You're gonna help
Yeah.
a lot
Are
of
we
buyers.
going to see on closed properties if there were commissions paid at all?
I have no
Oh,
idea.
we don't know.
I have no idea.
anything.
Interesting. Because now when you list, you can show comps, you can see how much,
Yeah,
at least.
What was the commission? there,
Yes,
right?
what was the commission on the closed properties?
How fast it was sold?
how fast it
right?
was sold, and it helps to determine on what to offer
value.
on what you're listing.
do you know right now we have advertised buyer agent compensation, closed buyer's agent compensation. We have two. Like, it shows if there was any difference. Was it negotiated? Was it even higher than what was advertised? It has two fields right now for the for the closed properties. Now it's gonna have zero. It's like messed up. But yeah, I'm like, they're supposed to show, I guess,
At
because
least
it
when
helps
it
the
was
comps.
when it was closed, maybe it would be shown.
Because it's gonna, like, the commission, like, it's sometimes it's 20, 30, 40 grand. It's total commission.
Well, think
For the
about
house?
$1 million properties or $2
Yeah,
million
expensive ones.
properties.
Yeah,
Think
it
about those.
changes the offers.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Completely.
It's $100,000 condo.
So we'll have to do a recap of this podcast. With a July update, because that's when things
Yeah,
are gonna
we'll
start
be back.
changing. Yeah, but don't worry. You don't have to rush to buy a house before July. You're gonna buy a wrong house if you're rushing. It's fine. But a lot of time, I still think 99% of sellers are gonna pay the
I
buyer's
think so
agent
too.
commission.
At least half of it, or like something.
Yeah, and some agent will have to squeeze. They will say, okay, fine, this one's fine.
Well, because those sellers are probably buying. A lot of those sellers
Yes,
are
they're
buying
gonna buy
something at the
after,
same
sure.
time. That's the thing.
But just picture this: you seller, you pay 2 agents commission. You're buying, and you have to pay your agent commission
Again.
Pay 3 commissions.
Yeah.
New changes, amazing.
Yeah.
You pay 3 commissions. How about that?
Gosh,
Lawyers
that's-
made some money on this lawsuit.
But because, the thing, that's why if he's a seller, he's probably going to be more motivated to cover the commission. So when he's a buyer, he doesn't have to pay commission.
That's why I should be on the
But
same
he's going to
line.
say to his
Really.
agent, look, I paid you already, okay? This seller is not paying. I'm not paying you again. That's
no
it.
money.
That's it, bro. I got no money. You figure it out. Go back to the seller, do whatever you want.
And you got to do whatever you got to do.
Yeah. But, we're gonna be okay. The industry has to work. It's going to be changes for everybody everywhere in America. So it's going to have to adjust itself and balance itself out. Maybe it's going to hurt agents more, and the total commission that agents make now is going to be making less money. But things have to make sense. If you're showing 50 houses, you're driving around the county or 2 counties, and at the end it doesn't make sense, people leave. People leave the industry.
Yeah.
But we need to serve a lot of people. We just did 4 million transactions last year. This year is probably going to be a little bit more. Next year is probably going to be a little bit more again with a drop of interest rates probably next year. And these people need to be served. Who's going to serve them? If nobody's
People
get to
still
serve them,
gonna buy
there's
and
going to be
sell
problems. And the problem is going to hit the media.
Mm-hmm.
Governments has to step in and do something about it. It's going to be
It's
all
just,
fine.
I think more regulations got to be in place, and like dual agency has to stop. I think with that.
Mm-hmm. Like some buyers like to go straight to a listing agent. Yeah. The listing agent's job is to sell the property. But if
we will see that often, I think, because if buyer will
but it
think,
depends. Listing agent has to do a double work.
yeah,
Exactly.
it doesn't
I
mean
mean,
they're gonna agree.
When people
on
are
that.
divorcing, they don't go to the same attorney. You have to represent your client, and you have to represent your client. So that works the same way.
That's true.
Yeah, when I'm representing the seller and then the buyer calls me and then he starts, I'm working for the seller.
Yeah.
That's
I'm gonna do the best with the
double
seller.
But a lot
Come-
of agents still do dual
Yeah.
agency.
I had somebody talk to us the other day, and she was buying from the open house, and the agent did a dual agency, and he worked for himself, not for the buyer and seller. The buyer felt misled. The seller had to squeeze,
No one's
and
happy.
he collected two sides. The agent worked for himself. Was clear violation. So it's very, very gray area, and the buyers definitely feel it now, but the job is done, But then now they're gonna say what it is to the other. So it's might be messy in the beginning, but then it's gonna even out, and then it's gonna show how what the value of the agent that works for the buyer is, because this year is gonna be.
And we as agents, not against each other, we should be working, as colleagues, and also educating people, educating buyers, educating sellers, because we all gonna be in the same position.
one day-
One day.
Yeah, one day you represent the seller, another day you
Of
represent
course,
the buyer.
Of
So
course. But
we are in the
don't
same
you agree
shoes.
that there's going to be a lot of people who are fresh in the business? Oh, I got a listing lead. I'll do it for whatever.
yeah,
Just give me
I'll
the
pay
listing.
you. I'll
Yeah,
pay you to do your
Yeah.
listing.
I'll pay you.
Yeah.
So, but you get what you pay for. Because when I got into the business, I heard about flat fee companies. They charge a little bit, list the property, it gets sold. I'm like, that's the future, I guess. And then the agent in my office says, yeah, but they've been around for a long time. So some sellers pick them, some sellers pick, different companies they pay extra for the service. And some sellers don't need the service. They're comfortable representing themselves. And there's people that sell on their own too. And they've been there forever too. And I'm like, okay, got it. And then it's been 7 years and everybody is still there and doing the business.
Yeah.
So it's not that everybody moves one direction. The people that I need extra service, I need white glove service, I need an expert. I don't need nobody. I'll do it on my own. But then a lot of times we know that those who try to sell on their own, they still go back to the agent and they hand it to them and please sell it for a top dollar. Because a lot of times I get offers. I'm like, I already know who's gonna buy. I already see you're weak. And sometimes I hear like stories when the seller says we were on the contract. We were on the 3 months on the contract, and I'm listening to the story. I'm like, how did you even sign this? This is not real. This contract was the buyer has no intentions in buying. Clearly, $500, what's it called? Earnest money deposit and inspection, done after months or something, and attorneys are not connected. It's like it's all messed up.
Yeah. From
And then
the
you're
beginning.
signing when the buyer hasn't even put the house on the or for sale. It's like you don't probably you never
That's why
even
you
talk
need
to
a
the
good
lender.
agent.
It's like whatever, you just believe, you know. All right. On that note, I guess that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks, Elena, Mariana,
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Joe.
for joining me today.
Good
And,
luck buying.
Yeah, we're gonna help you if you need help with buying.
Yeah.
It's don't worry about it. You know, a good agent will still go back to the seller, ask for it, try to build in the price, and I mean, if you can't afford it, then you can't afford it. You know, you're gonna move on and look for something else. But we're gonna be fine. It's somehow it's going to be get resolved, and sometimes you'll have to just to cover the difference. But a lot of times, I still believe that the sellers will be covering the majority. So it's more scary than it is on articles. In
Yeah.
articles, it
Then it's
says
gonna be a
6% commission. It was gone a long time anyway. Just 6%. Sellers negotiated down every single time they were listing the property. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe.